Hi guys. So since we are already 2 minutes over, let's begin. If a newcomer joins us, we'll introduce ourselves with them when they come. So Lee, I think Lee has already shared the minutes of the meeting in chat. So if your name is already not written here, please write them down here. Let's get started with the topics today. Devupriya, could you start? I was audible, yes. Hello.
Yes, indeed. Yep. You were audible.
Can you share your screen? I think my net is not working properly. Can't share it for some reason.
Sure. Go ahead, Devupriya. Okay, so I think she's having some difficulties with her network. So basically, I think Devupriya has redesigned the page redesigned the programs page on meshy.io. This was a very long awaited task because considering the previous design was not very aesthetic. So this is how it looks now. Uh, Lee had changed the background color for this part, but I thought that was a mistake. So Lee, if you want us to revert it, we can revert that back to white here. But I think this looks better.
Yep. Good. Yeah. Interesting. You know what? I don't know that I had no. By the way, I'm sorry for the lack of webcam today, but trust me, you don't want me on a webcam. So, no, can you do me a favor? Can you head over to the calendar, community calendar, under the community menu? And if we reflect on this for a moment, it's like, okay, well, actually oh, okay, it was still populating. Okay. So, the title of the page is, there's a clear distinction between the menu bar and the title of the page and then the contents of the page. Okay. So that's one thing to reflect on. If you go to, the blog, I guess. Okay. So it just jumps into like whatever the latest blog. It doesn't even tell you it's a blog. It's just like, here's 2 posts and there you go. Okay. And my goodness, we don't spend a lot of time writing blogs here, but I'm just realizing like there isn't much navigation to, I'm assuming it's paginated, but okay, I'm just kind of reflecting with you all. What do the pages look like? Okay, there's 2 pages, they had white backgrounds. Okay, fine. Service mesh, the SMI conformance under resources. Okay, fine. It's kind of okay. If you go to the other, if you go back to resources, like there's very few pages that we have. If you go to contributing, I think that's an external link.
Yeah, docs.
So for Rahul, nice to have Rahul on, or anyone who's on. We just found a bug. It's a great way to make a quick contribution. That link needs an external. It needs that super text, that external hyperlink icon. Think about that, everybody. I'll take a note. Anyway, I think you all can see where I was trying to go with this, and it was just reflecting on what do the pages look like today, and its consistency is good. Deviating is called for now and again. So this is a special page, and so yeah, I had toyed with a white background entirely. And it was like, probably too much. And so the thing is like when I'm looking at your screen through Zoom, this is something for everybody to think about for a moment. The 2 greens the green that's used on as the background to the menu, and then the charcoal, I think, is kind of the word that the descriptor that we're using for this other dark gray, dark green. It's not that.
This is okay. Wait, this is no, a dark jungle green is this. Okay, yeah. So this is probably charcoal.
So this consideration, not a big deal, but I think when Devopriya had originally landed this, I think she had the same dark green background that was on the menu.
Oh, yeah,
and in my mind,
dark green all over.
I think so. And in my mind, it was like, oh gosh, there's very little separation. And yeah, that was my train of thought. So do what you will with it.
The white over here, like the contrast doesn't look nice. Like it's green, then it's suddenly white, and then it's gray again. That was what I was thinking. Anybody else? Do you guys have any opinions about this?
I think there needs to be a change in color, sort of like I agree with what Lee said. So maybe we could think about changing some color and think more about it.
Changing the color as in the entire color?
I mean the background and modifying some stuff. Like I have to think, like it's coming just out of my mind, but I have to think about it, like the contrast and stuff. But yeah, this doesn't look that great as of now.
Even I think the navbar and the background are completely different colors, like when you land on that page. So we should have either something in between to break that contrast, or maybe we can have only the text, the heading with the white background and not like the entire banner that we had before.
Devopriya, would you like to continue looking into this, or should we create an issue and maybe somebody else could look into it?
I can do it, but if anyone else is interested, they can also help me out. Is anyone interested to look into this? Otherwise, I'll continue thinking of something else.
Actually, I'm not that good with Jetile as of now, but I can like help you with the reviews and color contrast and stuff.
Okay, sounds good. This transition is really cool. I really like it. Okay, does anybody else want to say anything about this?
Also, when you scroll down, there's this banner sort of like, yeah, I think we have to remove this part, this gray band below the newsletter.
Oh yeah, this part, yes.
Yeah.
Also, probably we should change the hover effect on the button as well. All right. Moving on, I think it's Devopriya's topic. It's again, yeah. So the talks and presentations page. Devopriya, would you like to share, or should I just go ahead sharing?
You can go ahead sharing.
Would you like to talk about this though?
Yeah. So this right now there's only one topic. I created a separate page so that we can have a collection of all the Meshery related events that we have. So if you click on the button, we have the video and the link to the slides. So does this look good? Because the intention was to create the video inside a modal, so I did that. Any views on this? Any changes or anything else? Aditya reviewed that I should probably change the background of the model to something lighter. I think I have to do that.
Yeah, like this is probably a very small change.
Yeah.
Like I was just trying it. I don't know though, but this looks like it looks good for now. Lee, would you like to say anything about it? Do you like it?
You know what? I am desperately trying to be less opinionated on some of these because I think that in part because for Deborah Priya specifically, she has a number of other things on her plate, and those other things are more important. That said, and since we're not hearing kind of Shubham and Yash, Zain, Deepak, Nikhil, Rahul, the others, volunteer, it's like, okay, then let's let it slide. Like I would say if other folks are looking for something to do, there's a couple of things here. So we've given any number of talks on Meshery. This one in particular was, time was taken to make sure that we tried to cover everything well. And so it's worth calling out and worth trying to get in front of people's faces because, who wants to read a website when you can watch a video? So this is great. This is like overall, this is great. For the modal, it might be that we lean into like instead of having the green outline, it might be that we should use just a shadow. Like we could darken the rest of the screen, or maybe, or use a shadow effect for the mobile and kind of remove the green, because we just need a couple of other colors. There's a saffron yellow that is the same yellow that's used in the subtitle of that video where it says the names of the people presenting. That saffron yellow, you can find it on layer5.io/brand. That is a subtle, like, because you don't need a strong, like it's a full modal, so you don't necessarily need a strong bright color that's like if there's a softer yellow shadow to it. If it was used as a shadow, that might, those are, like, if you want to get really nitpicky about it, like I would put a shadow over the entire rest of the screen. I would make it like I would compel the user to interact with the modal itself, dismiss it whenever they click anywhere else, including the X on the corner. I would say, I think it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty great. Like, that's all just cream on the top if anyone does that stuff. Otherwise, Deborah Priya, I would move on to your other items because it's nice.
I think Nikhil suggests we could also blur the background, but I guess we can merge this PR and create issues on that so that other people can work on it, because these are very minor changes.
Nice. Now, refresh me. Do we? So this would be a dedicated talks and presentations page. All right, fair enough. And we're not date marking the entries, and like good. Like in this case, I think that's good because we want for this one to last for a while. If anyone's, have been a lot of talks. There are talks listed in the Meshery docs. There's some talks listed in the Meshery README. And then actually there's a lot of other talks that have been given. So if anyone's looking to add to this page, that would be a good addition. It wouldn't be that every single talk needs to be treated in this way. Like this could be the special call out kind of at the top, and then the rest of the talks are just a simple bulleted list or something. I'll put that into the meeting notes.
Also, I guess we could create tags for the, like, for example, in blogs, like this is supposed to filter out the ones with the SMI conformance tag. So we could do a similar sort in talks and presentations to filter out the topic of the talk.
Sounds great. Yeah, could be that you'd filter, maybe you'd have a front matter tag for video, like if video is included and people could filter by video or not, or,
Alright.
yeah.
Yeah. So good. Thanks, Devopriya. Let's move on to the next topic. Yash, would you like to share your screen and continue?
Yeah. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
So in this, I was asked to add a link to handbook. So I added this button in the nav bar drop down, and I'm not that good at making a new style, so I added this one. I don't know how this dresses look good, but can you give me a little help me to make a better one?
Does anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, nice. Yash, as you go to spruce it up just a little bit, there's a green, there's a community logo, and it looks like three people, kind of three round stick figures huddled together. That's available inside of the community drive. There's a folder called websites and logos and assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's even used elsewhere on this site somewhere, but you might, some really neat things that you can do with an SVG. You might use that SVG to fill the background of the entire handbook call out and just have it cover the background. Maybe you wouldn't be able to see the full, icon, or you might, like you might slide the handbook button off to the right just a smidge, or rather you might include the icon in the button itself on the left-hand side, and it would be pretty small, or outside the button, but off to the right or something, like just tossing in an icon will really, now the handbook is like, well, what do you mean handbook? It's like community handbook is probably what we need to, the title to say.
Okay, community handbook, okay.
We never, just also like, since I'm the community's perpetual pedant, if we can, sometimes it's comfortable to end a sentence with a prepositional phrase, but it is one of those things that your grammar teacher would smack you on the wrist for. So know everything about, right? So maybe not your grammar teacher, but so know everything.
I'm not that good at making leaf, so I just wanted a review because
totally. Yeah. Deepak's been doing a good job of offering up feedback. He might.
Deepak is kind of the grammar Nazi of Layer5 right now.
Okay. And I also had it on the newcomers page here, but it doesn't look good. I know. I'm working on it.
Yeah, so another thing that you might want to consider is, since it already says handbook, I don't think we need a button that says handbook on it as well. Like it can be similar to the discuss call out. Like basically when you would click on this, it would lead you to the handbook. Like this is a call out, you can click on it and it will take you to discuss. So similarly, you could do that here as well. We don't need another button. Like you could incorporate a button, but writing handbook on it doesn't look really that great.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So thank you for your review. I will get on it.
Great. So moving on to the next topic, Lee, would you like to talk about renaming Get Nighthawk to Nighthawk?
Yeah, just real briefly, well, that's kind of it. Is the project that we have is, there is a project called Nighthawk. It lives under the Envoy proxy org. That project has been underrepresented, and both, there's a few reasons why we are trying to elevate that Nighthawk project. And in doing so, one of the ways that we're elevating and bringing more people to bear on Nighthawk is by having a project website. And when we tried to register nighthawk.com or nighthawk.io or Nighthawk anything, it was only 4 billion rupees to like buy that away from somebody else. And so we registered get nighthawk.dev for only, for a much lower price. And we've been reflecting over time that like the project that we have, it's not, the project isn't get Nighthawk, the project is Nighthawk. The website is, the URL just happens to be at get nighthawk.dev, but the project itself should be referred to as Nighthawk. The maintainers of the Nighthawk project that's under the Envoy org, they've all voted on the logo and agreed to it. And like, we need to stop treating it as two separate projects and just, so that change is pervasive across the get nighthawk.dev website and all the references on layer5.io website. There's the brand kit for the Nighthawk project has been updated. And so there's a bunch of new versions of that logo available. The icon itself, the bird looking icon, which is, by the way, does everybody hear all those dings that I'm getting? I hope not.
Yep, we do.
Okay, well, just that's what happens if you don't answer your wife's text. You'll just get more texts. So, okay. Last comment there was that the Nighthawk logo was updated to not be so wide, but to be a little more squarish. It's not exactly square, but it's a little. If anyone is used to looking at it, you'll notice that's a little more squished. Hopefully it doesn't look squished. The nice thing about removing get from the name is that's a pretty long word, get Nighthawk. So it's nice to shorten it up. It's nice to get the logo a little more square. Square logos are what fit into logo receptacles, like places where you put in, profile images and things. So there's a bit of a reference. A bunch of the references on this site need to be removed. Most of them have not been. I think on the Layer5.io site, I think they have been. So.
Yeah, I think Layer5.io has been covered. Like, I checked thoroughly. I think it's covered.
Nice. There might be other places where we're referencing. So I bet you if anyone searches for get Nighthawk in Meshery docs, you'll definitely find reference to Nighthawk. You might find get Nighthawk. So that would be something to update. On the SMP spec.io site, it might have reference to get Nighthawk as well. And so just all of those references basically need to we still want to point to the website, get nighthawk.dev. But yeah, and so instead of C, the get Nighthawk project, like the hyperlink right there where it says Nighthawk, that should be to get Nighthawk. That should not be to Envoy proxy Nighthawk. It should be to get nighthawk.dev. That's it. So there's a couple more things for people to volunteer on. Take it forward. If anybody's yeah. So those are small items. We'll put those down. Hopefully people will volunteer for them. There are some big things for people to chew off and own, if you're ready for that.
So moving on, Devupriya, would you like to talk about the topics collection?
Okay, I just opened a PR, so if you could just open that.
Yeah, to the preview. Okay.
Yeah, go to /topics. So basically, we are looking for publishing articles, not necessarily blog posts. So right now, the entire layout is a copy of blog post, but that will have certain changes. Like these do not have dates or authors. So we'll be working on providing more and more information through these articles. So I've right now added 3 more. Lee has added the WebAssembly ones. So one thing is we have to find new images because most of the ones I have added is service mesh related. So I've added that image as the thumbnail for all of them. But we'll probably need new variations or versions of this to use. Otherwise, it looks very repetitive. Even Deepak is, I think he's also working to publish some articles. We'll have most of them out this week. And then we'll be working on more filtering options. We'll probably have a menu to sort them out. Yeah, that's all.
But could you maybe create some issues on this so that more people can, get their hands messy with this?
Yeah, we can. We'll have to come up mostly with the articles, like basically look into resources and come up with things we can publish here. So
So yeah, so people can volunteer to write some of these articles. Well, I guess right now only Deepak and Devopriya are working on doing some really interesting writing. So if others are also, interested in writing some of these articles down, it'll be really helpful for us. Anyone want to add anything to this?
Yeah, just briefly, Deborah covered it pretty well. From a user experience perspective, yeah, this is created as a copy of the blog post layout, but it is not intended to be. It's intended to be more like topical resources. So if you imagine, if so layer 5, we're focused on cloud native technologies. That's a sprawling set of things. Even just within the niche of service mesh, that's still a sprawling set of things. So right now, if you wanted to go to layer 5 as like the service mesh community to find out more about that tech in specific, well, this site it has some blog posts mostly about community, about some, a couple of pieces of tech in there. And that's good. And we should definitely be adding more and more. And we are. There also should be, but some of those are time bound. There should be some timeless content that explain things like, what is a service mesh? Or what is a management plane versus a control plane and a data plane? What is a data plane? What is a control plane? There should be sections that cover, that are probably pretty similar, but cover Istio, what Istio is and kind of what it does and how to troubleshoot it. And like there's a ton of articles to do that. And the same thing for Kuma. What is Kuma and how is it different? And so like there's a lot of info, a lot of factual data points that's on the service mesh landscape, but we're lacking any timeless write-ups, just content that people can reference to understand the functionality of a given mesh for all of them. And so we would have topics and entries for all of them. Things that are also potentially long-lived about, like, so some people have written things about how to use, like, I don't know, someone has written a blog post that introduces mesh-free CTO. There's a ton more things to write about mesh-free CTL. That can be another blog post. But I guess I was going to try to give an example of like, There's maybe using MeasureCTL. Some of the things you can write into an article can be, or a topic like this could be done into a blog post. It's just that, like if you look at the blog post for MeasureCTL from a year and something ago, I've updated it since then, but even then, it doesn't really cover all of MeasureCTL. It doesn't, the stuff that's written there has changed and doesn't and so sure, that's in part why we have the docs and the reference docs, but those docs leave out a lot of context. And so, yeah, articles on these topics. So we have more books written on service meshes than anywhere else in the world. Like this community has written more of those. And there's very little of that content from what's in those books that's on this site. And we can put it up there. Like in particular, service mesh patterns, it's like, hey, we've really been working on that. And there's not a lot that describes what those are, or even describes how can you use Meshery to deploy a pattern. And like we've been putting a lot of time. And so those are a great set of articles. There's a lot of prior written content that's there that can be taken and used. And so, yeah, if that's of interest to folks, raise your hand. Otherwise, I expect that it's not. Good. And yeah, if it is of interest, you'll have to write well. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of feedback that, that you don't write well.
Yeah, so there's also a channel on Slack that you guys could join. It's called Blog Kitchen, where we talk about blogs. All right. So moving on to the next topic, we have Anita has written a blog for the learning paths. So it's ready for review. Anybody who wants to go through this and give their opinions, you guys are more than welcome to do it. The link is in the meeting minutes. Do we have Anita on the call? No, we don't.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, I couldn't see you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think this is like a summary of what the learning path is like and what we hope to achieve. But I would really appreciate your inputs on the way the article was presented or any spell errors, just general review though. It would be great to have the article published either tomorrow once the review is done.
Nice. So for Rahul and for others, reviewing this blog post is a great place to start, like a great place to start contributing in terms of writing. Nice. And there's Anita has incorporated, details about the learning paths in terms of how they're structured. Some of that comes from the designs in Figma, but Nikhil, there's some information that might also be represented from the original design spec, and so yeah. But if Nikhil, it'd be good for you to make sure that this gives kind of full coverage. The intention, we do speak to. Well, actually, if you scroll down a little bit, Anita, were you able to pull in some of what we have? Yeah, you did. Some of what we have planned, kind of forthcoming. So certificate of completion, multiple paths by persona. Yeah, this is good. We might even, at some point in the future, we might have workshops where we walk people through maybe one course of the learning path, and then another workshop where we walk people through the second course of the learning path. I don't know. The learning paths that are there have been written for Istio and for Linkerd, but those are missing console and Kuma and open service mesh and all the others. So that's definitely one thing to maybe highlight, Anita, if you didn't get a chance to, and that is that people can, on the lower left-hand side, people can switch between, they can take the same learning path, but they can do it, they can take it in accordance with the service mesh, the specific mesh that they want to learn. So the content changes based on what mesh they're looking to do, but the path stays the same. The path is still mastering service meshes for developers.
Okay, I'll add that.
Oh, nice. There is one addition that I think Nikhil is all right with as well. If you go back a page here, service meshes you can learn on the right-hand side, a little bit, yep, right there. So one, we need to capitalize can, but two, and more importantly, is making that interactive, the ability to switch between the two. I know Nikhil, like that'll, I think our design here is based on the other design from wherever it was, but I think people will be looking for that interaction.
Okay, then we might have to, like, I think simply copy pasting that component will do, but not sure, because that gets the data from a different GraphQL page. So you have to update this page, complete GraphQL query as well to get that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the table of contents that are shown on this page, they're assuming that you're on the first service mesh. In this case, it's Istio.
So for both of them, it's Istio. Basically, the other one doesn't have any other option. So yeah, it's Istio by default for all of them.
Okay. I'll open up an issue and see if we can.
But also in this case, suppose a user switches to Linkerd in this page, and then when he clicks on Get Started button, so he must be starting over with Linkerd on this page as well, right?
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, that's a good point. That like just the logo there needs to be changed to be generic. Right.
Yeah, not that part. What we are doing as of now is we have kept the Getting Started button as a static link, which points to the Get Started chapter of Istio code using the Istio service. But if we add a switcher over here that is under service meshes dependent, then if the person switches to Linkerd over here and clicks on Get Started, then he should be starting with the Linkerd Getting Started chapter instead of the Istio Getting Started.
Oh, and I see what you're saying. And so you're saying that the subsequent chapters, like the actual chapters themselves, we don't have control over. We don't have a deep link that would set one mesh versus the next.
So actually, that will what my point and all is, we would have to keep track of the service mesh over the pages. Like if it goes back and forth, we have to keep track of that and then manage it, so that they don't have to switch consecutively when the switch consecutively.
Nice. So immediately it could just be a cookie, and then maybe later when we get to user accounts, maybe that would be server side.
But even in that case, cookie would do because that would just
yeah, you're right.
Just adding a service mesh name to sending a call to the server side would be.
Yeah, you're right. As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Nice. Okay. So there's one potential improvement. And then the second potential improvement is the removal or the replacement of the Linkerd logo with just a generic one up above. Now, I mean, what would be nice and fancy is that we would show the logo based on what their currently selected mesh is, but because that would be appropriate.
Right.
Cool. Okay. We'll write that down. See if.
Also, I still think there's a lot of white space.
So we put in a couple of calls to action. Yep. And yeah. The part that I would say, well, one actually that the text under the stay meshy, is that smaller font right there than we have in the other call to action? It looks fairly small.
Yeah, I think it's like just a little small. You're talking about this ask questions part, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a little smaller.
Okay. I mean,
we should. But I think if we like increase the font even by a little, it'll move on to the next line again over here. Yeah, but definitely something to look at. It's probably like 2 sizes less or something like that. Okay, so if anybody wants to please review this blog, please review it, let Anita know how it is. So moving on, we have Shubham, suggestion for the course overview page. Shubham, would you like to take over?
Yeah, so Lee already talked about what I wanted to the switching between service meshes. Yeah, so I had a similar suggestion. Yeah, so we already happened to talk about it.
All right. Okay, moving on then, Deepak has also written a blog post for the 1,000, like the coming feat, which is we are pretty soon going to reach 1,000 stars on Meshery. I think we are about 13 stars short. So this also needs some opinions, some reviews. So that will be great. This also includes the 10,000 commits that we have done on GitHub. So if you guys, whoever is looking into writing blogs, probably reading them first would be great. Lee, would you like to add something to that?
No, that's a great suggestion. Actually, it's interesting that hey, if you want to learn Golang, you want to learn React, you want to learn CSS or whatever, like any of that tech, a great way to do it is, people will tell you like pick up a small bug. Yeah, that's very true. Also, just offer a comment, go try to review what someone else has done. It's a great way to learn how to code better. So it's the same thing for writing. It's like a great way to learn how to write better is trying to provide constructive, critical feedback on someone else's writing. Writing is really difficult. So yeah, but it's arguably more important than the ability to write code. It will certainly serve you better and in every situation.
That's true. Deepak, would you like to say anything about this?
No, that would be great. Like, I modified the doc with the Layer5 template, so I wanted to know others to move to this document, because the previous document which I had is like I'm just using it for reviews because I couldn't like shift the reviews to my new doc. So I want others to look into this main file rather than moving to the reference file which I have from it. Yeah, that is it. Thank you.
Oh, so this is not like a sheet in our drive. That's what you were saying.
No, this is the sheeting drive, but there's a different file to in the drive. Like, but I have renamed it to like Layer5 Meshery _1000 star _ref. and this is the main file. So I would like people to go to this file for reviews.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So the link for this is in the minutes. Whoever wants to give it a read. So moving to the okay. So I don't think has Luke joined us. No, I don't think Luke has joined us. So so we'll probably skip over this and also Tathagata's topic because he has also not joined us. Uh, volunteer point. Okay, so does anybody want to go through all our websites and see if we are citing get Nighthawk somewhere and change it to Nighthawk? Would someone like to volunteer? One was on this page itself. I'll drop the link in the chat. Somebody can go and change that. Do we have volunteers?
We can create issues for this, and maybe the newcomers will be interested.
Yeah, we can definitely create a show on this. Okay. Yep. Okay, sounds good then. So moving on. So there are some updates on the versioning of docs. Not like a huge update. So I've done some work around for it. So right now, what I've done is put in a switcher for all the 6 versions. They all have the same. They all have the same content, and yeah, so they basically all have the same content. What work I need to continue doing is one is the links on the doc, so they redirect to the latest version of content, so they should be redirecting to the version that is selected over here, and the others, and there are some other links which are inside, like inside the docs, that need to be versioned. For example, this, like if I click on this filter management, it leads to like the version 4 of filter management, but if I do the same for an adapter, it goes to the latest version. Yeah, so these are some updates that I have. There's a branch that I'm working on if somebody else wants to give me a hand on this. I know Shubham is quite talented with Jekyll, so if you want to help me out, that'll be great.
Yeah, surely. I will like to help you out in this.
Anybody else? Do anybody else want to say anything? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, so moving on then. I think, yeah, Shubham, would you like to talk about the routing issues?
Yeah. So, yeah, is my screen visible?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the homepage of the Meshi docs. And when we click on the command reference, so basically we have a breadcrumbs routing issue, right? So like when we click on this particular command, right? And when we click on this, so there is an error of showing that this page doesn't exist. But like if we remove this, we could see the page. So basically we just need to add a single line to the front meta variable of all such pages to redirect such pages so that we don't get the issue. So there might be different like more such issues, like I've found some already, but I will be getting issue for this, and if anybody found others too, then they could like add the bullet, or they could like comment on the issue, like adding all such scenarios on the docs that they found. So we might be having various breadcrumbs routing issues like this. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Like if even in this, like we do have it. Yeah. So we already solved this once, like this type of issue, like in the 4131 issue that I pointed out. So the similar solution is to be applied on all these issues. Yeah. So if anybody would like to add something to it.
I guess not. So, Shubham, could you just create an issue on Meshery and so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we
yeah.
can track progress on this?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So, so I guess that's it. Does anybody else want to add anything?
I will. I'll say, don't be shy. There's most of you on the call are not. Actually, most of you have done any number of things in the community already. So yeah, and in writing things, as we talked about writing quite a bit today, it's not easy. For my part, I have a difficult time coming around to provide feedback because mostly because it's really hard not to rewrite everything that people write. And it's tough because we need for the writing to represent the community well. Just as we do the code, we just have an easier time overlooking bugs for a while. But we never come back. Like once we publish something, we rarely come back to like correct grammar bugs. So if for my part, if I'm slow providing feedback on what you've written, it's probably because, yeah. So having other people review is great. Okay, please don't let me bottleneck your writing or the reviews. So I wasn't kidding when I had said earlier, like the ability to communicate in written word is like will serve you very well, very, very well. As a matter of fact, if you aren't able to do it well, you'll have a glass ceiling in your career. It doesn't really matter what you're focused on or whether you're working in technology or not. Like you really need to. So cool. So there's lots of opportunities there. There's on the meshery.io/blogs. I don't know that it had much of a menu system for potential multiple blogs, or I don't know if it necessarily paginates, but there's an opportunity there. There are a couple of there's some easy but interesting service mesh labs to create. We already have a number of them. We need a couple more for some service meshes that we haven't created the training for. The way that these are created is really easy. It's just in Markdown. You'll end up copying much of what is included in other labs. It's also a great way to learn Meshery is to go take the existing free interactive labs, go take those, and there's some requests for at least 2 new ones, 2 new very easy ones, and then there's requests for brand new interactive labs. And again, just a great way to learn the tech really well if you're trying to create a tutorial for someone else. Cool.
So, so we have 4 minutes left. And should we end early today? Okay. I guess we're done. Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yep. Thank you all for coming. See you next week on the website's call again, or some other meeting we have this week. If you guys haven't subscribed to the calendar, please go to meet.layer5.io and yeah, so meet.layer5, it's this big yellow button so that you can keep track of all the meetings that we have throughout the week. All right. Thank you all. Bye bye. See you.
Bye, bye everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye, Anita.
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.